Hello and welcome. My name is Mary Hanson, and I'm doing a special show tonight with the Green Party candidate for governor, Ken Pentel. We have lots of questions that I want to ask, and have talked to lots of folks who have given me questions. So we're going to just start right out, Ken.
Great.
Welcome, and thank you for coming down.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
You have been in politics since you were much younger, since 1979.
Yeah.
And what got you excited about politics back then?
Part of it, Mary, is it's tied to a lot of that sense in trying to be of service to the community. I remember when I used to see film footage of the Reverend Martin Luther King, and it used to put chills down my spine when he spoke, because I felt something was greater than the whole. I really felt he was captivating an important sense of calling for the culture, for the people. And I guess that would be one of many people who did that to me. I mean, people in personal level, who I'd meet in a day-to-day life, and as well as major people like Martin Luther King. But then, eventually, I just started feeling a sense I guess a sense that there's certain needs that are not being met in our society, and I felt that it's important that I back them, I support them. So my first act was single-payer universal health care. In 1979, I was supporting Ted Kennedy, Senator Ted Kennedy, who was running for president back then. And the only thing that captivated me about that was the idea that everybody should have health care. It just makes sense.
And then in 1986, you got involved with Greenpeace.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, and that was based upon many years of just grumbling a lot about the way the Earth was being treated. I felt we were disrespectful to a beautiful planet. I felt we were leaving future generations huge problems. We were disrespectful to other living things and creatures. To me, this was just unacceptable. And I was very angry about it, and I needed a positive outlet. And Greenpeace was offering jobs here in Minnesota, door knocking. It was perfect for me. I love to talk, and I was able to express my passion to heal the planet.
And you ran then for governor in 1998, in 2002. We have not heard or seen you out there as much, I don't think, as 2002.
Right.
Are you feeling that you've been shut out a bit in terms of media kinds of events?
Yeah, I mean, I think what happens is that there's certain levels that certain media will cover candidates. In 2002, we were a major party. That was basically an open door to most all media events and debates. Now, the Green Party in Minnesota, which I'm endorsed by, to be running for governor, is not a major party. We're a minor party.
Because the Green Party candidates did not get a certain percentage of the vote here in Minnesota, correct?
Right. If we had achieved 5% of the vote in 2002 in any statewide race, we would have maintained major party for 4 years. If we had achieved 5% of the vote in 2004 in a statewide race, presidential, we would have maintained major party status for 4 years. Beyond that, we did not. So we are a minor party, and that's being used as an excuse not to cover us. But I think it's important to note that the public airwaves are supposed to be used in the public interest. And so when they exclude candidates who are on the ballot, it excludes voices in the democracy. And we need those voices. Whatever's emerging who gets on the ballot needs to be put on the airwaves and not be excluded, because the public may want to hear what candidates have to say. So I think it's a practice that needs to change. And I would work hard as a candidate for governor to open up the airwaves for free airtime for candidates who get on the ballot, because our airwaves should not be exclusive.
I think this is a perfect place for me to put in a pitch for cable and cable access, because it's really a grassroots electronic soapbox, so to speak.
Yes.
And I'm delighted that you can get to people via cable.
Right, and I'm so grateful for cable. We need to fund it fully, expand it, make it more accessible to people to be participants in their democracy through the media.
Your running mate is sick tonight, so she could not be here. But tell us a bit about Deneen.
Well, Deneen is a wonderful person I met through the Green Party over the last many years. Deneen has been an activist organizer for a number of years. She worked on stopping the power lines in southern Minnesota in the late 70s. Yeah, in the late 70s. And she worked on child welfare issues pertaining to alimony payments and so on, in breakups in families. She worked through the 80s on that. She is a single mother, independent businesswoman. She is a person who has gotten involved in the Green Party in about 2001 as the Green Party in Minnesota events coordinator, volunteer, and she did a great job. She also ran for city council in 2002 in Mound, Minnesota, in a Republican district. She got 26% of the vote in a three-way race.
Which was
fantastic, she only spent $200.
Oh, my goodness.
But she's a motivator. She's an inspiration. People of all political stripes like Deneen because they feel she is a natural leader. And that is why I picked her, because she is prepared to govern. And so Deneen and I are, I think, a great team. We're prepared to do the job. Now it's up to the public. So we can get more into the issues. So the public, if they like what they hear, now it's a reciprocal thing. We're prepared to do the job. Is the public prepared to back us, vote for us, organize with us to make this campaign successful?
One of the pieces that I read about the Green Party said that when people are polled, they really agree in large numbers with what the Green Party stands for and what you stand for, Ken. And yet they don't always vote that way.
Right.
Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I think we have a system where people who may want to vote one way or another are drawn into a system that's basically a winner-take-all system. And you get one vote. And a lot of people, one of the things I'm trying to work on is to open up the democracy to be more honest. What we have right now is a situation where people are told, let's say for single-seat offices, mayor, governor, president, don't waste your vote. Don't be a spoiler. What I'm promoting and what Greens have been promoting and others are now promoting throughout Minneapolis and so on, it will be on the ballot, is called instant runoff voting, where you'll be able to... We'll
hear more about this, won't we?
Yeah, exactly. And in Minneapolis, it'll be on the ballot in November. It's called the Better Ballot campaign. Encourage people to vote for it in Minneapolis, because what it does is it basically does this. Right now, we have a primary. In an instant runoff race, there's no primary. You go into the booth in a general election where you get the biggest turnout, and you rank your favorite candidates. For somebody to win, they have to get 50+% of the vote. So they add up everybody's first choice. If nobody gets 50%, they go to the candidate who got the least amount of first choices. Everybody who voted for that candidate number one, their first choice is taken off. Their second choice is put forward. And you keep going until somebody gets 50%. This allows you to go in the booth, vote exactly how you feel, and not worry about your vote being thrown away. It's a more honest way of voting.
Where is this being done? Is it being done in some of our other states? Is it being done in Europe?
What we have is Ireland. Ireland elects their president this way. The parliamentarians of Australia have been elected this way for over 100 years. London's mayor is elected this way. The Board of Supervisors in San Francisco are elected this way. Burlington, Vermont, just passed it. They're going to
elect. So there are models.
Yes, exactly. And in Minnesota, we can see it happen here. The National Political Scientists Association uses this. The Utah Republicans, the Academy Awards.
What's the downside?
Well, the downside is people in power don't want to shift the system where it may be changing their position in the power structure. And that is the downside for people in power. But for the public, it engages them. The other piece of the puzzle that turns people off is the system itself. Where I want to go, from the winner-take-all, we want to move away from winner-take-all, where right now in your ward or your district, you could get 49% of the vote for your party or candidate and end up with zero representation. Now, this is not democratic. I want to move to a proportional representative system. And so we have voting regions of, let's say, 10 members. And in a region, your party or candidate would get 10% of the vote. You would win one seat, or 10% of the seats. 20% of the vote, 2 seats
So
or
very
20% of the seats.
proportionate.
So it's proportional. These systems I'm talking about, proportional representation, instant runoff voting, are used in almost every other democracy in the world.
Before we started, I asked Ken what was his key issue, and you really said what you're talking about right now.
Yes.
Democratic ideals and issues and ideas. I think, though, when people think of the Green Party, Ken, they think of the environment.
Right.
And I have 2 questions. Would you, in 2 sentences, define what the Green Party stands for in your opinion, and then the shift, and tell me what scares you the most about what's going on environmentally?
Well, the Green Party, the 4 basic values of the Green Party are nonviolence, grassroots democracy, social and economic justice, and ecological wisdom. Those are the 4 pillars of the Greens, practiced not only here in the state, in the country, but generally they're the bottom-up movement in close to 90 countries in the world now. There's a Green Party based on those values. And what the Green Party's attempt to do is basically bring our ecological condition into balance and our social condition into balance. So we're basically healing our relationship to the earth and our communities. In a nutshell, that's what the Green Party is attempting to do. The dominant political parties in the existing political system is stressing things out. We want to heal.
So give me the 4 bullet points again.
Nonviolence, grassroots democracy, social and economic justice, and ecological wisdom.
I think we'd all agree that those are big issues.
Yeah.
So what's scaring you the most about our environment?
Well, I think there's a number of arenas problems that scare me the most. One of the things is that what scares me the most is that the people, you can get 60, 70, 80, 90% of the public who want to have healing pathways, energy efficiency, renewable energy. They want sustainable organic agriculture. They want to make sure that they're not throwing things in landfills and incinerators. But what's happening is, what's bothering me the most is that the public is not able to translate through their government to resolve these problems. That to me seems to be the biggest problem. And one of the reasons is, and it ties into democracy again, has to do with Minnesota in 2004, for example, was per capita #1 in the country in the amount of money spent lobbying. So massive
surprising.
wealth is coming in. So the people go vote, they pick their elected officials, then they go work. They're busy. Then massive wealth from around the world, the country, the state, comes in and interferes, basically orbits around our policymakers and infuses itself into our policy. And what ends up happening is that commercial interests turn our government into a commercial vehicle. So they become very friendly with our policy system and our policy makers over time. And what that does is it interferes in the general public to translate through their government, and almost the public becomes alien to the people that are supposed to represent us. And this is a serious gap in what democracy is supposed to be.
Are you more worried when we think very specifically? Are you more worried about our water or about our air, Ken?
Well, I would say that no one thing can be taken into isolation. It's interconnected. Obviously, the most extreme condition that we're facing that is on the top of the charts right now has to do with the heating up of our atmosphere, global warming. That is a very ominous situation.
And some of the reports that have come out lately make it even more ominous that I have read. But
yeah,
what do you think we can do in terms of as a state working at this issue?
Well, as a state, what I would do as governor of the state of Minnesota, my role would be to first reverse the way we're using energy. Right now, Minnesota imports over 97% of its fuels. We send, about $15 billion